Hi there, everyone. I'm Liz with Premier Yarns. Thank you to all of you for joining me on this Saturday, and thanks to Michaels for hosting this class. So this is going to be some new sort of technology for me because I want to be able to share my screen and show you what I'm doing with these motifs. So just bear with me if it takes me a minute. We're not going to really make crochet too much or make too many things or really make anything. I'm going to show you one very basic motif, but for the rest of it, I'm just going to kind of go over specific charts with you as they get to be a little bit more difficult, just so you can kind of see how those work. So once you kind of learn this skill, reading charts, row charts, or motif style charts, you can pretty much crochet anything without even having a pattern if you have a chart. Most patterns that you will find either on the internet or yarn stores or at Michaels will include a written instructions and the charted instructions. And that's just to help you to where you have like an extra visualization. Some people are very visual and it can be difficult just to go through like all that text can be hairy sometimes. So the charts are a really great skill to learn, and you'll find that once you figure it out, it'll be much easier for you to crochet just about anything. So as I go on, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. And, anything that I haven't talked about, we can try to go over as much as we can in the hour that we have. So thank you to everyone. Also, make sure you say hello and where you're watching from. Okay, what I can do, let me see, where should I start here? I think I'm going to start by showing you the crocheted motif first. So maybe we can do, oh, here's my hands view spotlighted. Okay, here we go. So this is just like a really simple granny square motif. Motifs, you can obviously come in lots of different shapes. This is a square. When you're working flat in the round like this, you can either get circle, square, oval, hexagon, all kinds of different shapes that you can make. This is kind of like the very first basic granny square. So it starts out usually in the center, and then you work counterclockwise in this direction, row by row. So now if I can switch to my chart here, and we're going to look at the chart for this square. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and this is where you guys got to bear with me, but should work here. Share. And share. Okay, so here's this first chart. This chart is the visual representation of that little crocheted granny square that I just demonstrated. Now, every chart should have a key. So right here is the key. Let's see if I can make sure I'm okay. There's the little key. You have a chain, which is this first one, little circle there. You have a slip stitch, which is that little dot. You have the half double crochet, which usually just looks like a capital T. And then you have a double crochet, which has one little notch right there. And that little notch is kind of tells you how many yarn overs you have to do. So double crochet, you do one yarn over. Treble crochet, you do two. So if it was a treble, it would look like this, where it would have two notches. And a double treble, where it would have three notches, and so on. Okay, so that's the key. Your chart should almost always have a key, but if you're looking at like a Japanese chart or something like that and it doesn't have a key, most of these symbols are universal, not 100%, but they're mostly universal. So once you get to know them, you won't even need the key anymore. You'll know all the basic stitches. Okay, let's close up on this chart so we can see this. closely. Now you'll also notice that we have some different colors. So we have black for the first round, and then the next round we have blue, and then the next round we have black again. And that just helps your eye kind of see, okay, this is splitting into another round. So that way it doesn't all sort of like blend into one. And it starts right in the very center here. So all these all motifs are going to start in the center, right here in the center. So we have a chain, a chain, a chain, a chain, and a slip stitch. So that means I chain 4 and then I slip stitch the last chain to the first chain to make a loop or a little circle. Sometimes they start with a magic ring, and I'll show you that in the next motif that we talk about. I just want to make sure if anybody asks any questions that I see those. Okay. Now that's like sort of the very first part. And then right here, when we work charts, we work counterclockwise, okay? So we're always doing counterclockwise. Unless you are left-handed, then you would go the opposite direction. So then it's showing us that we have to chain up 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, and that's just a chain of 3, which usually counts as a double crochet. And then you can see that we're working these next 2 double crochets. They're kind of hovering over. I'll show you so you can see it better. The double crochets, which is this one and this one, are kind of hovering over those chains there. That's telling you that those need to be worked directly into that ring that you made, okay? And then you have 1, 2, 3 more chains, and then you have 3 more double crochets going into that ring, 3 chains, 3 double crochets going into that ring, 3 chains, and 3 double crochets going into that ring. And then at the very end, another chain and then a half double crochet. And that's kind of like, that's weird. It's like sitting on its side, but that half double crochet is being worked into that very first chain 3 that you made. So that way you can join that, okay? And then as you can see right here, there's a number 1 that represents that we're on round 1. Okay, so what I want to do now is stop sharing really quick and kind of just show you that. So you're not only looking at this chart, but I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Okay. Let's get some yarn. So we started out with our chain of 3. Of course, you have your slip knot on your hook. There's no handout for the class. Yeah, there's no handout. These are all kind of just examples that I'm showing you. What my goal is for you to be able to read any charts anywhere. But some of the patterns that I'm going to use as an example, I'll tell you where to get those. Those are free patterns from Premier Yarns. But I'll go over that when we get to that part, okay? This is just a granny motif. It's like super basic. So now I have my slip knot on my hook. And according to my chart, remember we said we have 1, 2, 3, 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I just slip stitched the first chain that I made. So there's my slip stitch. And that's how I joined that. Now it's a little ring, okay? So we just want to work into that little ring. Now the next thing, and I could probably just show you this too, because even though I shared it, it's still up here on my iPad. Then I said we chained up 3 and then we worked 2 double crochets into that ring. Even though it's hovering over there, that means you're going into the ring. If it overlaps too much, it would be hard to read. So we chain 3 and then we work 2 double crochets right into that ring. 1 and 2. Okay, then we did a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. That made the corner. And then we do 3 more double crochets. And I'll show you double crochet a little slower just in case you need a refresh on that. So yarn over, insert into the ring, yarn over, pull through. Now 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, that's a double crochet. We need 3 of those. We need chain 3, And we need 3 more double crochets. And I want to show you how that round ends with that half double crochet. I need 1 more chain 3, 3 double crochets, because we need 4 corners for this square. Okay. Here we are. We did these 4 groups of 3 double crochets. And then right here it says chain and then half double crochet to join. Chain 1 and then half double crochet. You're just going to join at the top of that chain 3. So the 3rd chain. So you can see 1, 2, 3 chains. So to join with the half double crochet, you just yarn over, insert right into there, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 of those. And even though that's a half double crochet, it's kind of worked on its side. It just looks the same as these other corners do with the chain of 3. So that's how you do that. Now you can see it kind of repeats itself similarly from there. If you chain up 3 here, 1, 2, 3, that's my next round, round 2. And also you can tell because it's represented in blue and it looks better when I'm sharing, but just so this one, I'm just going to work through it. The other ones will talk through it. You said 3 chains counts as a double crochet. Yes, 3 chains counts as a double crochet, almost always. Sometimes it doesn't. You just have to read the pattern. But yeah, if it looks like that, so see, I have 3 double crochets here, 3 double crochets. You know, you want 4 groups of 3 double crochet for it to be uniform. So we can assume that this chain 3 counts as a double crochet. Like 85% of the time it does. I'm not that sure. I'm just looking through questions so I can make sure I don't miss anything. Yes, 3 chains counts as double crochet. How do you know where to start? You always start a motif style chart in the center. So you work from the center out. And you're always going to work in a counterclockwise direction like this. And as long as you're not turning, you're going to work the next row in a counterclockwise direction, the next round in a counterclockwise direction like that. So the way you know where to start is just get rid of this. Let me go ahead and share again. So this might be easier for you guys to see. Because it looks better when I'm sharing it. Let's see, share this. So I can get through these questions. Okay. So the way that you know where to start is maybe like, so here's where we ended this first little loop, this first little circle that we made, we ended right here on the slip stitch, right? So once you join, then you know you're going to go to round 1, which you have this number 1 right here. So you know that that's the next round. And this is the first stitch of that round, which is that chain 3. And the chain 3 is just going to bring it up to the height that you need to be. So if you were working single crochets, you would probably only chain 1. We just chain 3 because a double crochet is tall and we need to get up to that height, right? So then you're going to go counterclockwise. So just, you know, train your eye to go this way, around, around, around. And then I see this is a little bit different than here, right? I have a chain and then I have a half double crochet, and I can see that the bottom of that half double crochet is kind of hovering over that 3rd chain of that first chain 3. So that's how I know that that's where I ended, because this half double crochet is hovering over here. So we go into there. Now it does look a little weird when you get to this next round, right? Because it's like the chain 3 is all the way over here. It's kind of went from here to here, but that's okay. That's just because it's going to look nicer. The corners are going to look nicer if you do it that way. So once you finish that half double crochet, you've joined it, and then you're just going to go right over here to the next chain 3. I guess the best way to probably tell where you start is that just like when you're working in rows, you always start with a chain of whatever the row height is going to be. So if you're starting a single crochet row, you chain 1. If you're starting a double crochet row, you chain 2. If you're starting half double crochet, you chain 2, double crochet, you chain 3. And those beginning chains are just turning chains. All they do is bring your work up to the height that you need your work to be. That's their only purpose. So when you see those beginning chains, which act as double crochet stitches or half double crochet stitches, that's how you can kind of know, okay, that's the beginning of my round, okay? And then you continue around counterclockwise, and you can see you're working here, you're working into this chain 3 right here. So these half double crochets are being worked into this chain 3. And at the same time, you're chaining 3 and then working more half double crochets all into that same space. And all these half double crochets, the bottoms of them are pointing right into that chain 3. So you know those are going right in there, okay? Now then you chain 1, and then here we don't have anything into these 3 double crochets. Nothing's pointing into there, so you know that nothing's getting worked into there. The next group of stitches are these half double crochets, which are being worked into the next chain 3 corner space. So I hope that answered your question. Let me see if, can you show how to do the half double crochet, only working granny? No, I want to show you a couple more, I'm going to show you a couple more advanced squares, not just the granny. I'm kind of trying to lay down the groundwork. I'm not sure how to do it from left-handed. So for left-handed, what you need to do is just kind of go the opposite direction, like literally. So you would chain up 3, and then you would go this way. But everything would kind of flip. So if you took this square and flipped it, like that's how it would be. So like this chain 3 would be over here. So the whole thing has to be flipped. I don't know how you could do that, but I'm sure you could find left-handed charts somewhere. I don't know how you would do it in like a computer program, but you basically have to flip it and work the opposite direction. Okay, so let me just go through this next round. I just want to go through this next round here and show you it so you can see that half double crochet again. And then we'll skip the last round because the last round is basically the same exact as the other round. And then I'll show you a more advanced one, okay? So stop share and please ask any questions if you guys have any questions. Okay, so we did the very first round. Now we're on to the next round, which is like in blue. So it's colored blue so you can see. And the first thing I do is chain up 3 right here, which it's always gonna, you're always gonna have to chain up. See, I have to get up to that height. And then I work the double crochets right into that half double crochet. And I know that because the bottoms of those half double crochets are pointing right into the side of this half double crochet. So I want to kind of work those around the post of this half double crochet right here. So double crochet around the post, and then double crochet around the post. And that's like the first half of the corner. And then it tells me to chain 1. I remember I skip these, and then I work the next, everything else into this chain 3 space. So not into the chains, just right into the chain 3 space. 1, 2, 3, chain 3. And this is like, once you've made a few granny squares, they're all very similar. You work around and, you know, around, you make corners to square it out. And I chain 1 for the side, and then I do another corner, and it's kind of basically the same. These motifs get really, really complex, and I'm going to show you a couple examples of that. But once you know how to do basic crochet stitches, and you get a few grannies down, and you see how to read the stitches in the charts, you'll be able to make the more complex ones. So see, I'm making corners, which are 3 double crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet, all into the same space. And that squares off the corner. Keep dropping my hook. I think because my camera is so close, I have no room. Okay, so here am I got 1, 2, 3 corners. Here I am at where I started. I started right here. And the chart tells me at the end of that, I want to do a chain 1, and then I want to do a half double crochet into that third chain of the first chain 3. So I do 3 more double crochets to finish this corner. See, I worked like the first half of the corner, and this is the second half of the corner. And then I do a chain 1, and then into this third chain, which is right here. Just count up those chains, 1, 2, 3. I work a half double crochet, which is yarn over, insert into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And that just joins it in a nice way. Some granny squares will have you join like that. Some of them will have you join like this, where it'll say chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then join with a slip stitch. So either way is fine. You'll see them different ways, just different designers write them different ways. And then the next round is the same exact thing, only you're adding a few more clusters into the sides. So then as you continue this way, it's just going to expand and expand and expand. You can make a whole blanket. So Lizzie asked, I'm not sure how to do it left-handed. I don't ever do any left-handed, so I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, but I do know for a fact that Bonnie Barker, if you've ever watched a YouTube channel called Bonnie Bay Crochet, all of her videos, and she does a lot of motifs and grannies and cables. She does a regular one, a right-handed one, and a left-handed one. So go to Bonnie Bay Crochet, and she'll have lots of tips for working left-handed. That's the only one I can think of. If I think of another one, I will let you know before. Okay, so let's move on to sort of like an intermediate one. I'm going to show you a pattern, and this pattern is from Premier Yarns. So if you just go, let me share my screen, you guys. If you go to Premier Yarns, share screen, every single pattern over there is totally free. So, and they're all charted usually. And am I sharing? Okay, good. They're usually charted and written. So you get all the written instructions and you get all the charted instructions too. So you can just go to premieryarns.com, go to the tab that says patterns and search through there. There's tons of free patterns there. So let's say I have this pattern, okay? I'm like, okay, here's all my, like my stitch guide. It tells me how to do a magic ring here. No, hold on a second. Oh, I'm on white. Okay. Why am I on white? I don't know. Got that. Okay. There we go. So it tells me stitch guide. So here's a magic ring, and then it just says motif. Okay, so here are all the written instructions for the motif. But if you don't want to go through all those, you can just skip over to the third page, which gives you the actual motif. And if you're looking at the motif and you're like, oh, I'm confused, I don't understand this, then you can just go back to the written instructions and read it and say, okay, round 3 says do this, 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 and that'll help you. Okay, so it's just kind of an extra, a little bit of an extra. So we have our key right here. This one's a magic ring, and then we have the basic ones. This should say single crochet. I think they messed that up. So that's a single crochet, which is just a little X. Half double crochet and double crochet. And the key will only show, of course, the stitches that are in the motif. So now you can see it's a little bit different where we started with a magic ring, and then we do chain up 3, and then we again work counterclockwise with all these double crochets into the magic ring. So we started with a chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and then we worked 15 more. So we have 16 double crochets. Then I have this little black dot, which is a slip stitch. So I just slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 to join. You're always joining with every round, unless you're working in continuous rounds. You're always going to need to join because that's how you get around and around and around, as opposed to when you're working in rows and you turn every row. Let's see if I have a question. Where are you checking? Okay. Are there motif, Shelley says, are there motif charts that let you make multiple granny squares add to each other without having to attach them? Yes, and those charts are called join as you go. That's a technique called join as you go. And I'm actually doing a class on that. I'm not sure, I can't remember the date when. It might not be up yet, but check back in Michael's, because I'm doing a join as you go class. And I'll show you an example of that too. I do have one example of join as you go. We're not going to go over it because it's kind of complicated, but I'll show you a quick example. But they do have charts, and the chart shows you exactly how to do it. It's a little complex though. Okay, so there I did my slip stitch. Now right here, I'm going to chain up 3 again, and then I'm going to work 2 double crochets, and you can see they're hovering over that chain 3. So that means they're worked right into that chain 3. And then I have I skipped this double crochet, and then I worked 3 more double crochets into the top of that double crochet, right? Because they're hovering over the top of that double crochet. So all 3 of them are going in there. Then I skipped, then I worked a group of 3, skipped, worked a group of 3, and so on all the way around. And then I get to the slip stitch. And again, the slip stitch is joined to the 3rd chain of the beginning chain 3. And then I work. Okay, so then I slip stitch. So that's the end of round 2. Now I'm on to round 3, which is again in black. So it kind of tells your eye like, okay, this is another round, because it kind of blends in together. So now it looks a little weird because I have this chain 3 in between these 2 double crochets. So let's see. So I would have my slip stitch, and then I would chain up 3 from the slip stitch, right? And then I'm always working to the left counterclockwise. So I would work this double crochet. I'm not going to do anything with this one yet because that one's, I have to go counterclockwise. Okay. So then I would work a chain 1, and then I would work this. Now I have a group of 3 double crochets here, but where are those going? Those are going not into the top of a stitch, which would be here. Those are going in between. So it wants you to work, see how it's not hovering? It's sort of, the point is stuck in between. So when it has a point like this, that means all 3 of those stitches are worked into that same space. So they're pointing downwards. And then they're not going into the tops, they're going into the space between. So you just find the space between and work 3 double crochets into there. And then chain, and then skip these, and then do that same thing. Chain, skip, work the group of 3, chain, skip, work the group of 3. And then you do that all the way around. And now I get to the end, because I'm repeating the same thing basically. When I get to the end right here, I just work that next double crochet right into that same space where I did that chain 3. So that way it's the same as kind of these groups. You're getting the same thing. So it's going to be uniform, and that's the join. and then you join with that slip stitch right there. Get rid of all this knot. Okay, so then we do something a little bit similar for the next round. You chain up 3, you work a double crochet and another double crochet into the top of that chain 3 from the previous round, and then you work a group of 3 double crochets into a chain space, and then you work a group of 3 double crochets all into the top of 1 double crochet. And then you repeat that all the way around. Let me see if I have any questions. What is the best way to change colors and not have too many ends to weave in? There's not really any good way to change colors. No matter how much you change, I mean, unless you bring your colors up the side of your work, you're always going to have ends to weave in. That's just the way it is. But if you're working like 2 rows, right, then the 3rd row would be a color change. You can just pull that color up the side and work over it, and you don't have to cut it every row. If you're changing colors every row, you're always going to have to cut it every row and weave it in. Unless you're working Fair Isle, if you're working around and around and around, you don't have to cut every row. You just pull that up. That's why you have those like strands in the back of Fair Isle, because they're just kind of pulling the yarn up, and they're making, I forget what they're called. They're not called strands. They're called floats. They're making floats because they're pulling the yarn up, but there's really no trick to that. It's just like, just weave it in, you know, there's no like big trick to color changes. Okay, so now let's see. So we're doing kind of a lot of the same thing, but we're working these groups of 3 double crochet either into a chain 1 space or into a double crochet. And then we get over here, join with a slip stitch, as you almost always do. And then we chain up 3. And see how these chains are kind of elongated? That's just to kind of, so you can visualize that, okay, it's going to sort of pull outward in that corner, because it's going to turn from where it was a circle here to a square. So you just have to elongate those double crochets. You don't have to do anything different, but that's just the way it's that we have to do it in the chart. So that way you can see how it forms a square. And then you work 2 more double crochets into that same space. And then this double crochet is going into the top of this double crochet, and this half double crochet is going into the top of this double crochet. And then, as you can see, when we turn to the sides, we have single crochets. This single crochet is going into the top of this double, this single is going into this double, this single is going into this double, and so on around. And then same with the corners here. So if you look at the, oops, I wrote on it. If you look at the actual motif, a picture of it, this is where we had those sort of elongated looking double crochets, but they're just regular double crochets. They just look like that from the corner. So we went from being a circle to a square by making the corners. I'm glad we're learning to read the charts and not trying to crochet. Yeah, I mean, I apologize for anyone who wanted to see that, but we only have an hour, and you know, it's kind of, this is not something that you just like learn overnight. So I'm trying to be as detailed as I can. But you can kind of, if I have like a little picture of it, you can kind of visualize it. Let me show you this other pattern, which is, these are all motifs that this is actually my design that are just sewn together. I think these are sewn together. Yeah, so you can sew them together or crochet them together, whatever you want to do. And if the pattern says, hey, put them together this way, you don't have to. You can put them together however you want. If you'd rather single crochet your motifs together, do it that way. If you'd rather you know, whip stitch them together, do it that way. Maybe make a swatch and see what looks best. You don't always have to go 100% by the pattern. It's really fun to kind of modify things and change things up and do what you think looks really nice. So again, we have all the written instructions here. It says here, make 42 motifs. So it tells you exactly how to make the motifs round by round. And then we're also going to give you a chart so you can visualize round by round what these motifs look like. Again, you have the key right here. And you can start to notice that as we go through the keys, the stitches are all the same. What the symbols represent is always going to be the same in the English style. If you look at Russian charts or not so much Japanese charts, but Russian charts have a little bit different stitches. So I would stick to like the English ones, but I'm going to show you a Japanese one too, because those are really fun to look at. So now, of course, we're going to start in the center. We have our key. We're going to start in the center with this little squiggly guy, which is a magic ring. So we know we'll start with a magic ring. And I know this is the beginning of my round because I have to chain up 3 to bring me to the height where I need to be. And then I chain 1, and then I work a double crochet into the magic ring. Chain 1, double crochet into the magic ring. Chain 1, double crochet into the magic ring, and so on all the way around till I get to the last chain 1 and slip stitch to the 3rd chain of the beginning chain 3. If you guys notice, we're kind of doing the same thing, right? Like we're starting the same way with almost every round, and we're ending the same way with almost every round, because that's just the easiest way to join. And then what's going on in the center changes up. But yeah, we almost always join with a slip stitch to make a circle. Okay, so now we have in blue, we have this number 2. That means I'm on round 2. Where did my... Let me back up here. Okay, so I see I have a slip stitch here. And then what I need to do is, I think I'd start with this single crochet here. Yeah, so yeah. See, this is where it gets confusing sometimes because this is where I ended and then this is where I have to start. But because in this chart, we don't have a chain up, and like I said, we almost always do, but in this particular one, we don't, because just it has to cinch in like that. And that's the only way I could get it to cinch in like that. So if you're confused, like, wait, I don't know where the start of this is. It kind of looks like maybe I should start here, but maybe I should start here. I'm not really sure. So if you get confused, what I would do is just go to round 2. Just go to the written part and say, okay, round 2. It says single crochet in the next chain 1 space and then shell in the next chain 1 space. Okay, so let me see what that looks like. Single crochet. Put my pen back. In the next chain 1 space. Why did my pen stop working? Hold on, guys. Oh, bummer, my pen stopped working. I'm not sure why. Or let me go back and pull this chart again. Maybe that'll help. Okay, you guys, I don't know why my pen's not working, so just try to go along with me. And I don't really understand the charts. I feel like I'm just looking at questions while I think about why my pen's not working. See her do it. Farah, I'll try to show you a little bit. I know it's hard. Do you slip stitch to get there? You slip stitch usually to join. That's usually always your join. But I know we don't have as much time. Yeah, this is only an hour class. What is a magic ring and how do you do it? See if I can show you that. The join as you go and Michael's class. Yep, I'm doing a join as you go. Michael's class. I'm surprised at how confused she is with the pattern she said she created herself. Looks like she forgot to make a stitch notation in the motif. I'm not sure what you mean by stitch notation. So this is my key right here. I know you can't see it anymore because my pen stopped working, but this is my key right here, which shows all the stitches. I was just trying to show you an example of how it could look confusing when you don't have that chain up, right? So this, if you see where the number 2 is, there's a single crochet right hovering over that chain 1. And that single crochet in round 2 is the start of my round. And in case I do get confused as a reader of the pattern, I could just go back to, I was trying to show you that I could just go back to where I wrote out all the instructions. And the first part of round 2 tells me single crochet in the next chain 1 space. So then if I go back to the chart, I can see that there is a single crochet that's going directly into that chain 1 space. So I can confirm to myself, okay, that is the start of my round, just in case it's a little unclear too, if you're new at reading charts, okay? That was what I was trying to explain. Yeah, and also the row number also, we try to put those, I'm sorry, the round number, we also try to put those near the start of the round. But if you look at this, you can see how everything's really squished together. So it can be hard to differentiate where the beginning of the round is, especially if you didn't have to chain up to get there, which you normally do. So after we do that single crochet in that first chain 1 space, then I'll skip the next double crochet, and then I'll work this group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets, which is all worked into, as you can see, they're hovering over that chain 1. So they're all worked into that chain 1 space. And then I have another single crochet. We're looking at the round in blue. I know my pen stopped working. We're looking at the round in blue, and I have another single crochet, which is worked into the next chain 1 space. And then I have a shell, which is that big group of double crochets, and that's worked into the next chain 1 space. And then I have another single crochet worked into the next chain 1 space. And as you can see, the double crochets, we're just totally skipping those. Okay, and then that is, you can complete that around until you get to the last shell. And then the very last shell, you join to the first single crochet with a slip stitch. Okay, and now if you can set your eyes, can you show the key again? Sure, Marcia, I'll show the key again. The key is right down here where it says stitch key. There's a slip stitch, a magic ring. I don't know why my Procreate stopped working though. I don't know if, I don't know. Sorry guys, but hopefully you can still see it. I wanted to be able to kind of sketch on it so you can see what I'm referring to, but I'll try to describe it as best I can. Now it looks kind of weird when we get over here to round 3. It looks like everything's just sort of going in weird directions. But I can say to myself, okay, I know my round usually starts with a chain up. And then also I have that little number 3. So that kind of gives me another indication that that is the beginning of the round. So you see I have a chain of 4. There's 3 chains going in one direction and then 1 chain, which is kind of like over on its side, and then a double crochet, and then a chain of 3, a double crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet. And all of those are going into that same space. And then you're going to keep going counterclockwise. So you would skip 2 double crochets, and then you have a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains. And those 5 chains, you just work those 5 chains, and then you skip that whole entire shell. So all those double crochets that you see in blue, you're going to skip all of those. And then you're going to make a corner into a single crochet. If you can see this corner here, all these double crochets are hovering over that single crochet, and that creates the corner. So it's double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 3, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all going into that chain 1 space. I'm sorry, not chain 1 space, single crochet. When you get to the last row, are we to, let me see, Shelly says, when you get to the last row, which is round really, are we to assume that the pattern goes back to the beginning and repeats itself? That's a really good question. So no, in this case, no, because this is a motif style. So if you see a chart that is for a motif style piece, that chart's going to show you the whole motif. It's going to just show you from start to finish the motif, because motifs are usually just like small squares or small hexagons or small whatever shapes that you join them all together to make one big piece. So at the end of the round, that's going to be the end of the round. And then you're just going to finish that and make another one. If you're working charts row by row, then yes, it gives you like a snapshot of what the stitch pattern is, and then you kind of repeat that stitch pattern, and often it'll have like a shaded area for the actual stitch repeat. But for a motif, it's not really a snapshot, it's the whole entire motif. That's a really good question. Got it, thanks. Okay, so this one, I'm so bummed, you guys. I'm sorry that my pen stopped working. I really don't know how to fix it. But as you can see, I mean, it's kind of doing the, this one is getting a little tricky. But like those tips that I was trying to tell you, if you see a chain, that's how you know it's the beginning of a round. And if you also see that round number, that's another indication that it's the beginning of a round. Also, the color differences, you have a round in blue and a round in black. So you know that, everything, because sometimes they kind of go over them, like it's hard to just distinguish between the rounds. So that's what the colors are for. Let me just point out, I know I can't because okay, so if you see this little red 5 right here, there's a red 5. And then if you kind of move your eye up to where that single crochet is in blue, and you can see how it's intersecting with this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with this chain 5, that's telling you that you're going to work over that chain 5 and into the double crochet in the round below. Okay, so you're just going to kind of put that single crochet, just put that chain 5 to the back and work the single crochet into the double crochet in the round below. That's why you see it's not hovering like what we were talking about before, that they're hovering. That one's actually intersecting. So that's to indicate that it goes in the round below. Okay, I want to show you another pattern. All these patterns are over at premieryarns.com. And this is just an example because somebody asked of how to do a join as you go. This is a granny square vest. Again, it gives you all the written instructions. And then over here, we have this nice, beautiful chart, which shows us how to do a full granny square, a partial, and a few partial granny squares. And that's so you can shape the vest. You can put like, the armholes and everything on the vest. So this top one says joining example, and that shows you how to join the granny squares without having to actually sew them on. You kind of work that very last round in blue. You work that last round as a joining round. I'll show you how to make the magic ring, Olga. I'll show you how to make that before we go. I just want to show you one last thing. So yeah, that's just, there's so many different charts, you guys. And they're all, you know, just get through a few simple ones, work through a few simple ones, and then you'll be able to read the more complicated ones. This is what I love about charts. If you have these Japanese magazines, which you can find them on Pinterest and things, of course, all the written instructions are in Japanese. So you don't know how to do it unless you speak Japanese. So if you see this beautiful thing and you're like, oh, I wish I could make that pretty motif, you can go over to the charts. And here's an example of that motif. So now, as you can see, this has a lot of stuff going on. It's a big motif and it has a lot of rounds, but it still follows the same guidelines as what we were looking at before. And even though it's in Japanese, it's universal because the stitches are the same. So we have the only thing is the Japanese usually don't do the color changes. So it's all in black, but it does tell you round by round. And they also tell you sometimes, see this number 4 here? So the rounds are have a circle around them, but those other numbers, that's telling you how many chains there are. And the other thing about the Japanese style ones is they don't usually have a key. See, this one doesn't have a key at all. And sometimes when they do have a key, it's in Japanese anyway, so it's not really helpful. But I can tell what these are because these are chains, double crochets. They all look exactly the same as the ones we looked at, you know, that are in English. So you can do something like this as long as you know how to read the charts. Okay, so I want to show somebody Olga how to do that magic ring. How would you categorize your motif? The one I made, I would say, is intermediate. And probably this one that I'm showing you right now, I would categorize it as advanced. But those are kind of like a little subjective. If you go to the Craft Yarn Council, it kind of gives you a breakdown of what beginner, advanced, and intermediate mean. And so we try to go by that as designers, but I think it's a little bit subjective. So is there a pattern or project you recommend to start with to practice the motifs charts? The very first one that I went over, which was that easy granny square, you could start with that, and I'll pop that PDF in the chart so you can print that out and you can have that. If you think that's too easy, then I would do that next one. I would go over to Premier Yarns and download this one, which is called the Evil Eye Bag. I'd say that's a little bit harder, but not super advanced. And is there any, okay, yeah, so that was Shelly. And Shelly, I'm going to show a magic ring, and then before I go, I'll pop that PDF in the chart for that simple granny square that we did. So let me stop sharing. And where's my scissors? Okay, magic ring time. This takes some practicing. This is how we do it. So there's a couple different ways to do it, but we're going to take the tail of the yarn and put it over your palm. And then I'm going to take the part that's attached to the ball, and that's going to go over like the top of my hand, right? So then you're going to go that over, and you're going to wrap it around just the first 2 fingers and hold onto the tail with your other fingers, okay? And then as I wrap, I want to make sure that this part is crossed over. And then I'm just going to rotate my hand, grab that with my pinky, just to hold it in place. And now I have what's going on here. So I have one strand closer to one strand in the front, I guess, and one strand in the back. And then if you look this way, the front strand is below the back strand. So the back strand is kind of crossed over. Okay, see that cross? And there. And then what you want to do is take your hook, go underneath the first strand, catch the second strand or the back strand, and pull that underneath the first strand. As you pull that underneath, you kind of rotate it so that way your hook is facing up like this. And then you're going to make a chain with that. So for me to make a chain, it's easier to remove these fingers, grab the yarn, the working yarn, and make a chain. And this now is my first chain, and this is my magic ring. And then what happens is you work your stitches into there. And then, like, let's say we need to work a couple single crochets. So single, 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 you would work however many the pattern tells you to. And then you would just take this little tail and pull it closed, and that closes the round. So let me show you that one more time. So tail goes over, wrap around the two fingers, cross it over, grab it with your pinky, insert under, over, make a chain, chain, and that's my magic ring. And then I can just work directly into it, whatever the pattern tells you to work into it. And then you can tighten the tail. That's how I do a magic ring. You're welcome, Olga. Does anyone have any other questions before I hop off? Is it fair to say, okay, wait, Morgan had a question. Is it fair to say that the start of each round is what immediately to the left of the, yes, that is fair to say. So yeah, so that would be another good way to indicate it, because if you have that slip stitch, you know that's the end of the round. That's where you joined the round. So what's immediately to the left of it, which is usually a chain or a chain of 3 or a chain of 2, that's going to be the start of the next round. And that's just something that you have to kind of train your eye to get used to it. But yeah, that's, Morgan, that's definitely a good way to describe it. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Let me pop that. Let me see if I can grab that attachment. Where's my file? Okay, here we go. File. Okay, good. I'm going to attach this is a very basic, actually, I'm going to give you 2. So I have this very basic granny. That's kind of the class one that I made. And then I have this other one, which is also pretty easy, but this is another one you can practice. It's just double crochets granny. So instead of these kind of clusters, which is like traditional granny, that one's all double crochets. Oh no, wait, that's a Word doc. Hold on, let me get the PDF. Where's that PDF? And while I'm grabbing this, if anyone has any other questions. You know what? I'm going to put these, I have all these on my desktop, so I'm going to give you the patterns. These are the ones that I said are free patterns over at Premier Yarns. But since I have them here, I'll just pop them in the chat. Granny square vest, we have that's the evil eye one that we looked at. And then I want to do that blanket that I designed. That one is here we go, the poinsettia throw. Okay, so there's a few patterns that are the complete written patterns and the charted patterns, if you guys are interested in those. And then I also popped that very first one that we did into the chat. Nana said this. Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Let me go back here. Thank you. You're welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you, guys. On the Japanese pattern, what was the start? Magic ring or chains? I believe it was magic ring. And that's kind of like, if you hate doing a magic ring, you can start with a chain 3 and join it. There's like, it's not going to make a difference. You're not going to tell in the end. The only way that I would say you should probably stick to the magic ring is if you're making like amigurumi and you want everything to be really tight and close together. But if you're just making like a big lacy motif and you don't feel like doing a magic ring, you can just do a chain of 4 or a chain of 3 and join to the first chain to make a ring. It's totally fine. You don't have to go exactly as the pattern says. And I think that one, I can't really remember now, but yeah, I think either one would work for that. I can't remember which one exactly. Yes.
Do you have the links to the handouts? Because sometimes when you're sharing PDFs, not everybody's able to see them for some reason.
I think maybe because I didn't hit. Are they showing up now?
Yeah, I see them.
Okay. You don't see them either. So, okay, so the PDFs are not coming up for everybody. You need the links.
The PDFs are showing, so anybody who's on a computer should be able to see them.
Oh, gotcha.
If they're on their phone or maybe a tablet, they might not be able to see them still.
That's perfectly fine because I can actually pop the links in there too while I kind of give my little saying goodbye. Okay, how do I pop the Command V? Okay, there's a link. So while I'm doing this, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope it was a little helpful. Sorry, my pencil stopped working at the end. That was kind of a bummer, but a lot of this is just like everything else with crochet. You have to really practice it. And also you can always watch the replay of the classes. So you can kind of watch while you work, and that might be helpful as well. So I'm putting some links in here. Morgan said it was very helpful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Morgan, for being here. Thank you very much. It's been, oh, good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. And meet me again because we're going to do some more charts, and I put some links there. If you're on your phone, you got the links. We're going to do probably some more charting classes, just kind of like row charts and things like that. This was just strictly motifs, but there's a lot more to charting. There's a lot. So hopefully I'll do this again, and you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I have one more question. Do you have any suggestions for these small patterns? It's just simple. For these small patterns, is it just as simple as using a bigger size needle and the same stitches? It absolutely is. So if you want, if you want bigger granny squares, just use a thicker yarn and a bigger hook, and you'll get a bigger granny square. And if you're just doing granny squares, the gauge isn't going to matter anyways, because you're just getting a bunch of squares that you can, unless you're making like a shirt with it or a vest or something, you'll just get a bigger blanket. So yeah, you don't have to worry about changing it up and modifying it with a larger yarn. Okay. And yeah, thank you. Looking forward to great class. It was my first time. Okay, great. You guys, thank you so much. And I will see everyone in my next class. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.